5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Jack Bishop of GabNet's The Intersect, Tuesdays through Fridays at midnight Eastern Time. It's everything from what's going on with the new royal couple to what's happening with that grumpy old man in the Oval Office. Movies, music, old TV shows, you name it. From thoughtful discussions to out-and-out fights like my grandma would referee between my uncles. So from mild to wild, join me, Jack Bishop, Tuesdays to Fridays at midnight for The Intersection on GabNet Live. It's talk like you never heard it.
Evolution is defined as any process of formation or growth, development, the evolution of a radio program right before your ears. Welcome into The Exchange. It's Rob Alfano, and it's a Wednesday night, a special night, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. You're going to give us a call on Skype in a little while.
I'm Jim Browning. You're listening to The Exchange. Well, our long national nightmare just may be over. It seems that we are ready to say goodbye to reality television.
Good evening and hello, everybody. Welcome to The Exchange, your safe haven for the free and open exchange of ideas and opinions here on the Great American Broadcast Network every Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 10 Eastern, 6:30 to 7 Western. I'm your host and broker, Damian Chaplin. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, go ahead and give us a call on Skype. I'm opening the lines right now.
The Exchange, one program, ever evolving. Be a part of evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 p.m., Damian Chaplin moves you in new directions. Call GabNet Live on Skype at 347-352-0079. The Exchange, the evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, only on GabNet. We're GabNet, and we've got you covered live 5 nights a week. First Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, it's The Exchange.
Let's capture, who are all these people who are watching these cooking shows? They're stoners, right? So I'm wondering, is this a program that Netflix has absorbed? I don't know, what is the purpose of Netflix making a 14-minute show? Now, aside from those two interesting facts about this show, the show is fucking terrible. Do not watch this show. It fucking sucks.
Tuesday through Friday at 10 Eastern, join Alex Bennett on the Ramble.
Say goodbye to the unions.
Renee, what was the decision? And then we'll go to Patrick.
It doesn't matter. Just say goodbye to the unions.
No. But I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you what was in the decision yesterday.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, let me look it up.
Yeah, he'll go look it up at glennbeck.com.
Tuesday through Friday at midnight, The Intersection.
Most high school boys, what do we got on our mind? Sex and girls and girls and sex and sex and sex.
And booze and drugs.
Yeah, the Asian guys I knew in high school, I don't know, I'm sure they thought that way, but perhaps they were more disciplined about it. Although there was this Japanese girl in high school that your old friend, the Black Avenger, had the hots for. Oh, my God. Be still my sake wanting to drink self.
If you like sports, we've got that too, with The Arena, Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, and even if you did that, it doesn't give you the right to grab your Uber driver's private. I mean, and like, what part of that to him sounded like a good idea?
Oh, she played a special song.
Catch up on all the shows with our weekend flashback. All shows have the Citizen Panel, an exclusive concept of GabNet. It's new, it's daring, it's talk like you've never heard it before. 5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. How are you? It is the Ramble. I'm Alex Bennett. We go until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. And, I don't know what time it is where you are in the world, but if you look and check it out, if we're live in New York City, so it's 10 o'clock at night in New York City. So just check and see if we're live or not. If we're not live, well, fuck you. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. I don't have anything. You see, I don't have my wife here tonight. She decided, I've decided that every week, whenever I ask her if she's going to do the show, she says, "Can I not do it tonight?" So I just decided that if she wants to do the show, she can let me know. I'm not going to beg any longer. So I have nobody here to talk to except, well, you, I guess, and I guess I will. I'm trying to figure out. Can I? I know what I have to do. I have to turn this on. Boom. See that? Yeah. I should have a light bulb there so it looks like I'm really smart and thinking about things, But let me see here. Can I just move this just a little bit more up? There we go. Yeah, there we go. We look good now. Well, we never look good, but we look better. Anyway, so I don't have a lot to talk about. I have a thing to gripe about, I guess, in my personal life. So let me talk. Well, I'll talk to you about it in a second. By the way, if you from now on are looking for us on live stream, we are no longer on live stream. I'll tell you why. For the first place we ever did our show, when we were doing it from a TV station, from a studio rather, we were using live stream. And Livestream loved us so much, they actually gave us the service and gave us a special service and so on, so that we would, be able to do this the show live going out, and then they would repeat it over and over and over again and so on. And so I went with them, and then when we stopped doing that, I had to start paying for it, and it was like $49 a month, and I just kept doing it. I don't know why. Nobody ever watches our show on live stream. We get maybe 10 people a day tops who watch it on live stream. So nobody was watching it on live stream. The only thing that was good is I had something like, 10,000 people who were followers of the channel, but it didn't help. It didn't help me to get that many people. So I just decided that after years and years and years of doing this, that I kept thinking, I gotta stop paying the $49 a month. It's not getting me anything. It's not like it's being used to embed somewhere or something like that. It didn't have any real positive reason for existence. So the thing that broke the camel's back, I did keep it because they have a thing called Livestream Studio, and this is a switching program, much like the one I use here, only more complex. Maybe not as good, but more complex. And so I kept fooling around with it to see if maybe I could use it. And I never could quite use it because I could never get it to exactly work right. I couldn't figure out how to get Skype to work with it, things like that, all right? So, but I kept it for that studio. So the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I decided, well, I haven't played with the studio for a while. Let me go to that program and play around with it. And I started playing around with Livestream Studio. And I started making it do things and flip-flopping and bringing in videos and things like that to see how it worked and how to do this and how to do that. And after I played with it for, about an hour and a half, I decided, well, that's enough playing around with it. I still can't understand how this damn thing works. And I decided, fuck it, I'll turn it off. So I turned it off, and immediately as I turned it off, my pictures started getting wonky on my display. And I figured, sometimes what happens is you run a program and it interferes with something else, and then, you got to reboot. So always, if things go bad, reboot. All right, so I rebooted, and it had a hard time rebooting. In fact, it would reboot to a yellow screen, and then maybe if you left the yellow screen there for a while, it would come on, and then certain things wouldn't work on the screen, and things were transparent, and the display wasn't working. I rebooted it several times. It was getting to the point where I couldn't even reboot it, and I just, gave up on it, took it down to the Apple store and said, fix it, right? Okay, that's another story that I've got to get into in a moment. So I write live stream and I say, look, I don't know if there's any coincidence here, but here's what happened. And they go, well, gee, it's never happened with anybody else, and we can't figure out what it possibly could be. And they said, but, if you want to try again, if you want to try using the studio again, we'll give you a free subscription for a month or so you can test it. And I wrote them back and I said, look, this is what I think ruined my machine and made it blow. Now, I'm not 100% blaming live stream. The whole two things could be purely coincidental, that, my thing stopped working and, whatever. So, but they, rather than say, we're going to really investigate this thing, they just went, we haven't seen anybody else that happened to. Did it do this? Did it do that? They asked me a few questions, and then they thanked me for my help. So tonight, I just decided, what the fuck? I don't know why I've been keeping live stream all these years. They've been making about $500 a year off, more than that, $600 a year off of me. And for what? Nothing. It never got me anything. None of you people ever watch me on live stream. So it didn't make any logical sense to keep the damn thing up. So that was that. And I've canceled live stream. So if you are one of the 5 people out there who have used live stream over the years, I'm sorry, we're no longer on live stream, but you can go watch all our videos and stuff on YouTube or on Facebook later on after the show's over. Right now you can watch us live. You can watch us at the on our Facebook, on our gabnet.net. You can watch us on let me see here, on YouTube, and simply go to www.youtube.com/ or just put in Alex Bennett, and it'll probably say right there live, and you click on that, you can see our live picture. Or you can go / Bolo Bennett / live, and that'll get you our live production here. And the picture's looking pretty good tonight. I also want let me. I guess I should take this a step at a time, right? Okay. So I take the machine down to Apple, and they, for them to fix it, and they check it out, and they say, well, it looks like it might be one of your display boards. Okay, fine. Fix it. So they take the thing in, and they look at it, and they go, yeah, it's a display board. Now, there are 2 graphics boards in this particular version of the Mac. It's the Mac Pro. It's what they call the trash can. It's a very powerful machine. So they send away for there are 2 of them. What do? Do they send away for 2 of them? No, they send away for 1 of them, and they send away for the A board, okay? And they put the A board in, and it still doesn't work, okay? So then they put in the B, they send away, it takes another 3 or 4 days, and they get the B board, they put it in, it works. And they call me and they say it works, that's the good news. The bad news is, when we test it, it shows a slight heating up, because this has a very weird cooling system, where it's a funnel, and it goes up straight up through the thing, and I don't know. So they said it doesn't seem to be cooling it completely efficiently. So rather than give it back to you that way, we're going to send away for some paste and some heating pads and install them. All right? How long will that take? Another 3 days. Okay. So now we're getting now to today, which is 2 weeks since I took the trash can in to be fixed. All right? Mind you, each time they couldn't order 2 boards and then figure out which one didn't work, or order the B board first and maybe that would work. Now they tell me, so they sent me a note today and it says, "Thank you for your service at our technical thing. Your machine is ready. Come down and get it." All right? And then they call me and tell me, "Come down and get it." All right? So I get in a cab because it's raining cats and dogs out there and I didn't want to take a train. And the cab is $20 to the Apple store. And the only reason I'm telling you that is to emphasize the futility of this story. I get down there and they go, "Yeah, now go over to that table there and wait, and they'll come and bring your machine out to you." And I'm going, "Okay, cool, everything's going fine, we're great." Now a guy comes out and he goes, "It's going to be a couple of more minutes because we're still doing some final testing." I go, "Okay, well, you couldn't do the final testing before I got here. You sent me a note, it was ready." But okay, I'm copacetic and I'm looking at their, iPad cases and things like that, and it's kind of like, you ever know when you go to a drugstore or a store and just before you sign out, there's a whole bunch of stuff at the checkout stand hoping that you will do an impulse buy? Well, that's exactly why the Apple store is there when you're there to get something fixed. Finally, a guy comes out and he doesn't have it. And he says, I got something to tell you. What happened is we did a last-minute test for the, for the heat, for the heat circulation. And while we can't feel, while all the fans feel fine and there's air coming through there, the diagnostic machines say to the contrary, that there's a small problem with with it not cooling it enough. So what are we going to do? Well, we can't fix it here. We have to send it off-site. I went, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Where's off-site?" "Texas." "What?" "Texas. But don't worry, we can send it overnight. We can overnight it to them. We'll tell them to expedite it, and then they will overnight it back. And you maybe could get it anywhere from like next Tuesday to next Friday." Now, mind you, this has been going on for 3 weeks, or 2 weeks now, and it'll be 3 weeks if I get the thing back in a week. And the guy says, "Yeah, we got to send it down there because probably they're going to need to do a few other things to it." And then he mentioned at one point, and I don't know what he meant by this, they may have to replace all the insides. And I go, "They have to replace all the insides?" He said, "Well, there's a heat sink in there and a blah, 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 and a blah, 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 and they may have to replace all the insides." Probably not things like the logic board or whatever, but, And he said, "But don't worry, you're only going to pay the $375 we said it was going to cost you in the first place, no matter what they charge." He says, "And when you come here, you will get a bill, and that will be on the bill, but the amount that you owe them in Texas will be minused out, and you'll only have to pay like $375, $380, somewhere around in there." So I went, "Well, I guess the good news is I may be getting a brand new machine." And the bad news is I'm still working with this machine. I got this Mac Pro here, what we call the cheese grater down here. And you maybe can even hear it. It's very noisy. Hear that? Hear that? It's very noisy. And I do a show here, and when you're using it, the more you use it, the more it puts pressure on the CPU and so on, and then the fan goes faster on this machine when that happens. Now think about the other machine that I had, the trash can, and this is what's so good about it, is that there was absolutely no sound coming out of it. I mean, I I was amazed, and you would be amazed how quiet it becomes in this room without that, with that machine instead of this one. But this was my old Mac Pro, and it has served me well. God, I love you. You know, you've been sturdy, and knock on wood, I haven't had any problems with it that I can remember. Geez, am I trying to think? You know, outside of a hard drive blowing or something like that. So this machine is doing the hard lifting here, and it really can't. You'll find that when we talk to our citizen panel, the minute I get like 6 people on the citizen panel, I will start my lips won't move with my face, okay? As much as I've tried to fix that problem. And that's because this is a much slower machine. The other one is a behemoth of a thing. It's a 12-core machine. This is only an 8-core. And this doesn't have the power that one has. And the graphics boards in there are just sensational. So it just isn't, it doesn't use up as much. But the more strain I put on this machine, the more wonky it gets. And when I heard that I wasn't going to get my machine back today, and I went all the way down there, okay, because it said, your machine is ready. And then I called them back because they had called and I didn't get the call. And they said, oh, yes, your machine is ready, come on down and get it. And I go down there and I'm told it's not ready. And in fact, we're shipping it off to another country or something like that. And online, they were even supposed to send me a thing saying, here's your new number for the job. And I said, they didn't send me an email. They haven't sent it yet. And I go online and it says they're still in the process of shipping it. And it goes on and on and on and on. This is just getting to be too much. Now, when I'm through, I may have one hell of a good machine that, will last me a long time because it's done good by me. But, and they're going to do repairs that are going to make it probably last into another century. But I still am bothered by the fact that I had to go down there and I had to do all of that, and that wasn't much fun. So I apologize, and I was so dismayed by this that I was almost not going to do a show tonight, and not do a show until I got that other machine back, because this poor machine down here, I mean. Thank you, sweetie. Just keep going. Just a few more days, okay? Has been doing yeoman work, but does not have the horsepower that is needed to make this actually work optimally. But what the hell? I just hope that it will hold up. And I probably will do shows next week, but if I'm not going to do a show like Tuesday or whatever, I'll let you know on Facebook, okay? And the reason that we've got to do it day by day is I got to see how I feel about this machine. I don't want to put a complete strain on this machine. I like this as a backup machine, and I want it to remain a backup machine. And quite frankly, if this thing breaks, I don't have to take it to the Apple Store. In fact, the Apple Store won't even fix it. It's so old, all right? But it's simple to fix because it's all modular. If the fan goes, I can go buy a fan for it. If the power supply goes, I can buy a power supply for it. If one of the memory things goes, everything I can pull out, put new stuff in, whatever. I think the only thing that's hard to replace is the CPU, and I think I can even do that. I think that's even a pull-out thing as well. So much better in that respect than the machine that I have now, or the machine that's being fixed. So anyway, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me see here. So I don't want to gripe about the technology here. As I said before, you don't want to know how you just want to eat the steak. You don't want to know how it was killed, and I don't think it's that important that you know this. but I need to tell you because you're going to notice that the picture, for instance, with this machine is not as good. I've checked it out against stuff I did with the old one. Is not as good as the old machine. My new machine, which is the old machine, because that's the one that's not here right now. It just worked fantastically, you know. And then that happened. So I don't know if it had to do with live stream, but I canceled live stream because I saw no. They said to me, if you want, if we want to use this live stream studio again some more, we'll let you keep it for a while. And I wrote them back and I said, I suspect it may have blown my machine. Why the fuck would I want to use your program? Now I'm not impugning them. Could be there's nothing wrong with their programming. It could be the whole thing's coincidental. I mean, there has been a problem with the graphics boards in the trash can. But if it didn't go by now, that wasn't probably part of their recall that they had. And I'm not part of the recall. But anyway, so I'm gonna get a whole big deal fixed, and who knows when I'll get it back. They feel probably. It is reasonable for them to say a week, but it could be just a few days. But they don't want to say that because they don't want to get my hopes up. Okay? All right. So let me see here. What else? Nothing much. The last episode of a show I really like, the Orville broadcast last night. And I got to tell you, I love that show. It's Seth MacFarlane doing essentially Star Trek. It's almost an homage to his love of Star Trek, using the same quality production that they used on some of the later versions, like Voyager and so on. And they used this. The guy did the music for Star Trek to do the music for this thing, and. Brian Braga, who was a major writer on Star Trek Next Gen, is one of the major people involved in this project. And if you've never seen the Orville, or you haven't had the ability to see the Orville, and you can go back to like Hulu or someplace like that where they have all the episodes, watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll really enjoy it. I think it's a spectacular show. Anyway, we're going to now put the strain on the machine. And when I'm through, after 2 hours with this strain I put on it, this machine is like whirring, like I almost have to leave the room. It's so loud. If you thought it was loud when I let you hear it a few moments ago, it's not that now. Let me go here and activate Skype so that people can call me on Skype. And we can see what we're gonna do here. So if you would like to start calling the program, this is where I have to wait because I tell people I've turned it on, and then they don't hear that for about a minute, and then they got to then click on and call me. So I have to wait for that to happen. All right. So we should be getting somebody calling shortly. It's probably going to be Phil. Phil's usually the first. But you never know. You never know. Is Phil out there tonight? Let me see here. Who's out there? I know Charlie's online. And let me see here. No, Patrick Blazik isn't in line. Phil is online. Yeah, I see that. Okay. And Eddie Jordan's online. Okay, here comes Eddie Jordan. Third night in a row for Eddie. Wow. Hello, Eddie. Are you there, Eddie? Eddie? Let me see. Oh, here. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, all righty. Let me see here. Wait a minute. And then I got to do Jeff Stein, and I got to do Charlie Wallace. Okay, then I'll give them a place on the thing. Hold on a second. Hold on. I gotta do this. Oh, wait a minute. And there's Josh Wheeler. Wait a minute. Hold on a second, folks. I gotta do this. Let me see here. Let me
Wow, we're all
in
jumping
first
in at the
place.
same time.
In first place, let me put in Charlie Wallace, okay, and then in second place, let me put Eddie, and he's the same place he was last night, so I don't even have to click him in there. Then let me see here. In third place, oh, wait a minute, I've got Charlie Wallace in two places. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. Here comes Phil Meyer. Wait a minute. I'm having a problem here. Hold on a second. Cancel. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay. I see what the problem is. Okay. And third place, I've got to put in. Who are we putting there? We'll put Josh Wheeler. Let me see here. Is he there? There he is. Okay. And then in fourth place, we got to put. We'll put Phil. Let me see here. Scuba diver. There we go. And there's Jeff Stein. And then in fifth place, I got to put scuba diver. Where is he? There he is. Okay. All right. Let me see if that works. There we go. There's almost a whole citizen panel going to, and I'm out of sync. Okay. So.
Overloaded.
Whatever, I'm sick and tired of this. It's getting to me, But I'm out of sync completely. Let me see here. Where are we? 6. Okay, there we go. So anyway, folks, don't pay no attention to me. I should even just take myself off of here so that you don't see me. And then you don't have to see me out of sync here. You could just do that, and then you just see the citizen panel.
Could you maybe just hang up on Phil and see if it makes things any better?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Josh.
Shot.
But let me put myself back in here. Folks, just don't mind that I'm out of sync. All right, just pay no attention to that. I thought I had the problem solved, but I really don't have the problem solved, and what the hell? Let me see here. Is there any other place that the active speaker? No. I've got it on the only thing I can. So we'll just hope that we're okay. It's not that far off sync. And let me see here. Let me do one other thing here. Yeah. Okay, and so good evening to all of you. Up at the top, you see Charlie Wallace. Right below him is Eddie. Right below him is Josh Wheeler. On the other side, you see Jeff Stein. And then there's, of course, what's your name? What is your name, guy? The bald, fat guy?
I was falling asleep in Joe Biden. He was so sleepy today.
Oh, you just believe everything your Fuhrer says, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you this evening?
Miserable. I'm miserable.
You said it was raining earlier?
It was raining on top of everything. Yeah.
You took the cab?
Yeah, I took the cab. $40 worth of cab ride back and forth for nothing. Because they told me it was ready.
When you tell them your story of woe,
yeah,
I don't think that $375 is going to be coming out of your pocket.
What do you mean?
I don't think they're going to charge you.
Oh, I think they will. Yeah, they will. They told me they will charge me, but they won't charge me for anything that's done in Texas. What might go on in Texas? They might replace almost every part inside.
Yeah, well, just make sure you tell them that you took a $40 cab ride on their say so that the thing was ready.
Yeah,
and you're not happy.
I'm not happy. But I mean,
let them know.
Marjorie said I should have told them, well, you're going to pay for the cab ride, and I said, well, I don't think that's going to play.
Cross that bridge when you come to it.
I will say something about Apple. The last time I had a problem with Apple, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now this thing isn't going back and forth at all. There we go. The thing with Apple is that the last time I had a problem, I think it was with the machine I got from you, and they went to fix it, and they replaced the logic board, or was it a hard drive? They replaced something, and then I brought it home and it didn't work. So I took it back,
Right.
and they found it was like the
Oh,
logic.
they replaced the hard drive, and then they replaced the logic
yeah,
board.
and then they decided it wasn't the hard drive, it was the logic board, and they didn't charge me for the logic board.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty good. You know.
And it'd also be nice if they leave the new A board in there for you. You know, they replaced it. It's used now. They're not going to be able to sell it to somebody
No,
else.
they can use it again.
You know,
they can use it again. It never was used. It was put in, it was tested, and it didn't work. It can't be sold as used. It doesn't have to be sold as used.
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Boy, you're kind of stuttering tonight, but you know.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You got a little bandwidth problem. Hey, listen, it could be my problems here, you know. But everybody else looks like they're pretty
I'm on
pretty
5G.
good shape. Okay, here comes one more person to put me out of.
I'll do a speed test.
Hey, Jason.
Oh, good. Let's see here. We got Jason coming in here. Let me just put him in the panel, and that'll put me even more out of sync. Thank you very much, Jason. 3MM. What is that name you use?
3 a.m.
3 a.m. Is that what it is? I see. Okay. Anyway,
We used to go to the church.
That's Jason. Look, Phil's all getting screwed up there.
Wow, yeah, his picture's breaking up.
I'm doing a speed test.
Oh yeah, well great.
Really?
Do a speed
I'm
test.
doing a speed test.
That'll keep
Latency error. Could not connect the server.
Ooh. Yeah, well.
All right.
Yeah. We don't want to hear about your
Bye.
technical problems. Why don't you just sign out and call back in?
All right.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Reboot your modem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
That's a
something.
good idea.
Do something. Well, the spot will be left open for you because it's got your name in it.
Oh, okay.
In fact, if you hang up, it'll probably freeze. So we'll always
right.
have your picture in there.
Oh, then if it's going to freeze, let me get that picture in.
There. Well, if it's going to freeze, you got to sign yourself off while you're giving us the finger. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? Yeah. Anyway,
Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I just called in, but you said something the other day about Hulu probably dropping Disney shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Disney's an owner of Hulu.
Disney is a partial owner of Hulu.
Yeah, but it's only owned by Disney and Comcast now. So
here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. It's owned by Comcast and Disney, and they were talking about getting out of Hulu. Okay.
Well, Disney just bought a share of it.
Wait a minute. Then they've decided they want to own 100% of Hulu, and Comcast doesn't want to get rid of Hulu. So then Disney said, "Well, maybe we'll get out of Hulu." There's that. Yeah, they're trying to play a game there. So.
But they just bought AT&T's share of Hulu.
They bought.
So I don't think they want to get out of it. Yeah, like $1.9 billion worth.
Yeah, but last week the word was they were thinking of getting out of it. Who's got something's playing back here? Boy, we got nothing but problems. You know, I would have none of these problems if I could use the old Skype. You know, because it didn't eat up that much power. You know, the new Skype uses a lot of your power on your computer, much more than the old one did.
And can I say, because I know you said, like, I think it was yesterday's show, you didn't want to talk about technical stuff, but is it Eddie, the new guy?
Eddie's the new guy, yeah.
I'm sorry, but ever since he started calling in, that's when I've been hearing it. It's been going for a couple of days. I don't know if his volume is too loud and it's feeding back on the mic. So I may just try turning it down a little bit.
Do something for us, Eddie. Do you know how to mute your microphone?
Your microphone, not everybody else's.
There's a picture of a microphone down at the bottom of the screen, and
or even just try to turn the volume down because he doesn't have headphones.
Well, let's. I don't know. That kind of is it. I think. Okay, here comes.
That's why I'm a communications specialist.
Here comes Ray. Here comes Ray Renati.
The new engineer.
So let me see here.
Hello.
Hello, hold on a second, Ray. I got to give you a spot on the show here.
Okay.
He's outside again. Let me see here. Who is Gumbo 61?
That's me.
Oh, that's you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish you guys would use your real
Roomba.
name. I wish you would really use your names. You know.
Well, I'll have to change my account. I can't change the account name that I made like 10 years ago.
Why not?
My name. Can you?
Yes, you can. You can absolutely
I'll
change
do
your
it.
name. You can absolutely change
okay.
your name. Yeah.
But no, I think you used to be able to change your name that would show up before. Because remember,
Yeah,
there was
that's
one
what I
time I
always
changed
did.
it to Lexa Pro.
Yeah.
And I called in, and you're like, "Who's Lex? A Pro?"
Yeah,
But-
before it used to say my name.
Yeah,
Because I would
but-
put that as my name, but as the ID, I don't know if I can change that.
And you can change your name, but you
Yeah.
can't change your ID. And so
Yeah.
now it's just showing up the ID.
Yeah. So I can open up a new Skype account, I guess.
Yeah. Where are you walking? To the gym?
I'm out on the Baylands in Palo Alto. It's a nature preserve.
Oh, okay. Are you going to the
It's
gym?
like 10-minute walk from. No, I'm just walking the dog.
Oh, okay. Show
Just
us.
walking the doggy.
There's the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Disney dog.
The Disney dog.
Yeah. Are we Phil free?
Well, no, not yet.
Oh.
Not yet.
I heard.
Huh?
Sorry, I'm getting yelled at by my kid. I'm going to the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah. So.
So did you hear Trump talking about how great the Nazis were again?
No.
When they ran over the girl. What an ass! What a freaking asshole!
What did he say? You know.
Well, he was back to saying how there was good people on both sides and all that.
Anti-Semitic.
Pictures of him with torches marching and the whole
Wait,
God,
but
it just makes me sick.
he doesn't want to give up the ghost on that. I mean, does he
No,
have to
he's
revisit it?
against Kerry because Kerry said that's why he's running for president. After Trump said that, he decided he couldn't let it happen. You know, happen.
You mean Biden?
Let that go on.
You mean Biden?
Biden. I mean Biden.
Yeah.
Sorry, Biden. Yeah, Biden.
Yeah.
I'm getting them mixed up.
So he says no, they were good guys on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I never ever thought of Nazis as good guys under any circumstances. You know?
Me either. It's so insensitive. I mean, this woman got run over. 30 other people got maimed by the crazy Nazi guy in the car, and then he says shit like that.
I know how I can prevent myself from being out of sync. I'll just hold my hand over my mouth. So when I'm talking, nobody will know that I'm out of sync. I'm out of sync by about 3 seconds, is what I am. It's all because of you damn people who call this program. Look at you. And Phil.
What if we all hold our hands?
And
over our
Phil
mouth?
isn't
Maybe
here,
it'll work
folks.
for you.
He's just frozen, and that's the way we like him. To be honest with you. Yeah.
Oh, look, we get us a handyman action going there.
Yeah.
Where's that? Is that
Josh?
Oh, Josh has gone to his garage, I think.
Yeah, he got kicked out of the house, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
Here, I'll show you the view here. It's pretty nice.
Okay.
Freaking mosquitoes everywhere.
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh, well, isn't nature wonderful? There you go. Oh, look at that. That's a very nice sunset. That's a very nice sunset you got there.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Bicyclist. I know. This is a 10-minute walk from my house.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow.
There's all kinds of ducks and mosquitoes and skunks.
Yeah,
Great.
well, if I have to spend more money on more stuff, that might be my house. Get a sleeping bag and live out there.
Yeah. Why? What happened? You going broke?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
But I will.
Right.
I will.
Well, we all will eventually.
Jeff's got his hand up.
What? Yeah. Jeff's got his hand up. Yeah. I sometimes I have a hard. It's smaller screen that I'm looking at now, so it's harder. Yes, Jeff.
Let's see, what was they talking about?
I forgot.
Going broke. About
It's
Trump.
It's a guy named Joe something or other. Biden.
Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Joe
know, he was
Biden running for
talking
president.
about why he didn't go against Trump the last time.
I don't know. Was he Biden his time?
Oh, his son just died.
Remember, his son died.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And I think somebody looked at him like, oh, I guess that's a good excuse.
What Trump brought that up?
No. Somebody on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know.
Maybe it had something to do with Hillary running.
The hell he was being interviewed.
Trump is saying he's the young guy running now.
Yeah. Well, there's a 4-year
counting
difference
footage.
there's a 4-year difference in their age. So, you know. Who knows?
How can this guy have a Jewish son-in-law, and he's an anti-Semite
Yeah.
Nazi?
Nazi sympathizer.
You know, here was the thing that got me about him today was that he was making a big deal about the fact that Joe Biden, he called him Sleepy Joe, of course, and then he said he's not too bright.
Oh, boy.
And I'm thinking to myself, who's calling somebody else not bright? I mean, let's face it. You know, Trump is not. Would anybody here call him bright?
No, he's a very low IQ
scientist.
individual.
Yeah. I'm very. What?
I like it when he calls people low IQ. I like it when he calls people a low IQ individual. He often does that. Very low IQ individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is Trump, like 83?
Huh?
Well, I mean, we'll never know. If he were to take an IQ test, he'd immediately have it sealed by a court order, so we would never be able to figure it out.
Correct.
Wouldn't matter.
Somebody, by the way, Josh asked yesterday or the other day a very good question, which was, can he tell somebody not to testify? You know, can he tell somebody, like, if they're subpoenaed by Congress, don't testify? Does he have the ability and executive power to prevent that person from testifying?
Well, I don't think he can tell them not to testify. I think the most that they could do is they could make a decision with their counsel to basically invoke, you know, like executive privilege, which, you know, sort of the executive branch's, you know, equivalent of, you know, your Fifth Amendment right not to testify, which, you know, you could basically just show up, they can ask you a question, and you can invoke executive privilege where you can say, well, that was a conversation that I had privately with the president where I gave him counsel, and you know, under federal law, those conversations are not required to be revealed, you know, even by a court order most of the time. So they could invoke executive privilege, and all administrations have used it here and there from time to time, but if they were to use it as a stonewall, you know, that's generally not thought of well. But at the same time, even if they're ordered not to, you know, you can't physically make them speak. It will almost be settled at the ballot box, you know, one way or the other, you know, more than likely, if they all absolutely refuse to testify. But can he order someone not to go? No, I don't think he can. I think that's obstruction of justice.
Right. That's obstruction of justice.
Right. I mean, no matter who the president is. I mean, just as a matter of law.
But don't you know obstruction of yes, Jeff?
I disagree with you guys. I wish I had my wife, the attorney, here, but she's not. But I think the president has special privileges to shut his mouth, because he hasn't done that very often, but he could do it.
Yeah.
And the other choice is to fire him.
Well, no, like, for instance, he doesn't want McGahn to testify. And he wants to tell him not to testify.
He did,
Uh,
but he's not supposed to do that.
But he's not supposed to do that. Am I right? Are we right, Josh?
Yeah,
I don't think it was
I mean,
McGann.
wait. Yeah, I mean the Don McGahn has been subpoenaed to appear before the House Intelligence Committee or whichever one, oversight. It doesn't matter, whichever one. And yeah, President Trump would prefer greatly that he not testify because his information that he gave to the special counsel, the independent counsel, was pretty damaging. Because he told the truth, and they don't want it out there again, and they don't want more questions and more follow-up. So yeah, he's basically said to Don McGahn not to testify. But the fact of the matter is, number one, I don't think he doesn't have the right to tell him not to testify. Again, we're back to the argument of executive privilege. And number two, Don McGahn, as far as I understand, he doesn't even work for him anymore, right? He left the White House. He's back to being a private citizen. He doesn't work for Donald Trump anymore. So now, executive privilege never leaves the two individuals, regardless of whether they work for each other anymore. Just like it's very similar in my mind to attorney-client privilege, I guess. So, but he can't tell him not to. And I mean, they'll probably invoke executive privilege, I suppose. But that's going to be back to again a matter for the probably for the ballot box, because I don't know that they can really settle that in court.
Okay. All right.
Here's a nice sunset for you.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second, everybody. Here, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Beauty.
That is.
And I'm not the authority on this. I mean, I think I have a decent understanding, but so I mean, take more opinion. But I mean, and I can certainly say I mean, we're not even going to talk about it as a matter of law, but again, I'm going to go back and give you as a matter of my opinion based on what I know, which is a great deal about the founding of our nation, specifically the drafting of our Constitution. And again, I can just tell you that if you think the men in the room would have thought that a president would have the power to order someone not to testify in a court of law, that's nonsense. And anybody tells you that is shilling for the man that they're working for now, and 6 months later when another guy's in, they'll have a totally different opinion.
Hello, Phil. You're back, Phil.
Yeah, is this better?
Oh, yeah, that's much better. What did you do?
Yeah.
You rebooted everything?
I rebooted everything. Modem, switch, not switch, the Wi-Fi, the computer, everything.
Yeah.
Did you change your underwear too?
No, not in the last couple of days. They don't stick to the wall yet.
Do you have a separate
Hey, Phil,
router
check
than
out
your
this
modem?
sunset.
Yes, I do. Yeah, beautiful sunset.
If everybody,
Isn't your modem wireless
if
also,
everybody is quiet,
no.
If everybody's quiet and Ray says something, it will go so I can put that picture up full screen here.
Oh, I didn't know that's how it works now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can hear ducks too, and various bird life.
And then I just go boom, and there you go. Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
That's it.
That's a sunset. And those are those ducks down in the water?
Yeah, those are coots, I think. There's ducks to my right, but you can't really see them.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice, huh?
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Rival Hawaii.
Is that East Palo Alto?
It's sort of on the. I'm about half a mile from East Palo Alto. This is Palo Alto Baylands. Yeah. It's safer here.
Yeah. No Hell's Angels.
Yeah, no Hell's Angels on the trail.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote me. This is sheer stupidity. I thought, Alex, why are you supersizing the individual tiles? Are you aware of it? No, I'm not aware of it. Thanks for telling me. Of course, I'm aware of it.
Hey, that guy might be onto something.
Might be onto what, Phil?
Well, that you could supersize the tiles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you rather that everybody just be like that? Okay, fine. Fuck you, Forbin.
You got 27.
I'm having a hard enough time. I'm having
a
a hard enough time getting this to work. For instance, tonight, among other things, I usually can switch buttons and cut to one screen or another by just pushing a single button here. But the buttons aren't working now. So, I have to do it by clicking on the screen. So, fuck you, okay? I'm doing my best. All right? Wait a minute. Just so I'll be out of sync, but fuck
Jason,
you. Okay, there we go.
Are you in a room without heat?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I couldn't do that. There we go. Fuck you. Okay? Fuck you. Right there. Okay? I know I'm out of sync, too, so go below me. All right? Hold on a second. I got to cut back to this. Here comes Tony. He'll put me even more out of sync. Let me see here.
My dog almost got eaten by another dog.
Oh, really? Really? Let me see here. Tony,
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Ray.
It is out here.
And I'm wearing milk bone underwear.
In the Badlands of Palo Alto.
Wait a minute. What, Tony?
Whose fan is that?
Why aren't we getting a picture on Tony? Let me see here. I got to figure this out again. Okay. Here we go. Wait a minute. Tony, quip. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Now we have Tony.
Freaking mosquitoes.
Now it's raining in New York, Alex.
It's been raining. Yeah. It was pretty heavy tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just a minute ago, it was raining for me.
Now, normally with my
our
old
first 100-degree day.
with my old machine, folks, I would not be out of sync. Okay. I call it the old machine. It's actually the new machine.
I'm gonna make you feel homesick.
Yeah. There's the trash can right there.
There's the old new machine.
It is so small and so quiet.
Oh, it is me.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! Look!
Geese.
Geese. Canada geese.
I say, are they Canadian geese over there, or are they Mexican geese?
Oh shit!
Everybody, be quiet a moment and say something, Ray.
There's some nice. Yeah, these are some Nazi geese. There's a few nice Nazi geese here.
Yeah.
Now they're Canada geese.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I gotta cut to it. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, folks.
There you go. Canada geese.
Yeah, but they don't.
I just chased them into the water.
They don't like you.
It looks like they're far from me, but they're only like 20
You think
feet
they'd
away.
be kind of fearless about people, but look at that. You got ducks, and then you got that fucking sunset reflecting on the water.
This is rough.
Yeah, this is
And
pretty
I'm getting
cool.
eaten by mosquitoes, like really bad right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
you got to get.
Oh yeah,
beat.
there's a buttload of them. Ah!
Yeah.
But they're not always here. It's tonight for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess they're breeding at the moment or whatever they do.
Okay, so anyway, Jason, what's new with you?
Yeah, do something else.
Jason?
Ah! Ouch.
Jason, what's new with you?
Nothing. Same old, same old. Just living the American dream, working every day.
Doesn't he look somewhat like the Unabomber tonight?
Yeah, right.
Yes, Mr. Kaczynski. What's your opinion on that?
Can you mail this letter for me?
It's feeling left out since I haven't heard from Brian in a while, so I had to come down to the basement and give that basement feeling that he used to give.
Brian didn't do his from. Oh, did he do his show? His call from the basement?
Yeah, before.
Yeah, they didn't let him out of there very often.
Yeah.
You know, they sealed the door. It's kind of like what they used to do to Tony until his father passed away.
Now all of a sudden, I'm in demand again.
Yeah.
So what's the temperature in Detroit since you're in a hoodie and have a blanket on?
It wasn't bad. It's been all right. Today it was like 63 or something like that. It's been like that last few days, but I'm in, like I said, now I'm in my basement. My computer room is right below my kid's bedroom, and we just put him to bed, and he yelled down, "You're too loud!" So I'd come down to the basement. It's pretty cool.
Now we got so many people, I can't even do the full screen because it can't take the power. It just can't do it. You know, it's amazing. It's a real problem.
I need more power, Captain.
Well, no, it pisses me off. I mean, I was hoping I was going to get this other machine back and everything would be wonderful again. You know, so I might not do a show on Tuesday just because I just, you know, this is just getting to be too much. You know.
Captain,
Yeah.
she can't take it any longer.
Yeah. But when I try to send
She's going to bust.
It looks good here, but when I try to send it out, it starts stalling a lot.
Hey, you know, Alex, when I listen to you on Apple, you know, on my iTunes, I can't tell that you're out of sync.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody is frozen now. This is yeah. I mean, it's stilted, and I don't understand it, to be honest with you, because I am sending out a pretty good signal, and it's having problems, you know. So I don't know. I may give up on this. Yeah, at this point. I'm just, it can't take the load.
You want to just go to Skype and then post it after?
That's what she said.
Well, you know, I don't know if it's recording well, because the other night it affected the recording. So who knows, you know, but I mean, I haven't got a lot of CPU usage here, so it should be pretty good, but it's a problem. So I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of giving up on this thing, and I just might call the show short tonight because I can't, you know, I can't. If I got rid of like 4 of you or 3 of you, I could maybe, you know.
I'm on every night.
Me too.
Well, let me keep.
Hey, Alex, I'll go off because my battery's about to die anyway, and I'll just listen on TuneIn.
Okay, we'll go off, and let's see what happens when you go.
Yeah, why don't we just experiment? Why don't Charlie, me, and
no. I want you to stay, Phil, because you I can argue with you. Wait a minute, hold on a second, and that's not. Let me see here. We got rid of
Ray.
Wow. It's really bad. Hold on a second. Let me go here. Let me get rid of. Let's see here. Let me get rid of 8. Oh no, that's Tony. Tony, can we get rid of
Ray
you?
is 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tony is 6.
Yeah, hang up, would you? And Ray was 7. Okay.
Ray was 7?
Yeah, Ray was 7. And
I thought the positions went to the left corner and down.
Huh?
I thought the positions went from the left corner down, so that Charlie's in 1, Jeff is in 2, and Ray was in 3.
No, I know what I'm doing here, Phil.
Well, I'm just looking at it.
I don't care what you think. I'm telling you, I got rid of the 2. You're looking at the picture 2 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Time delay.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's who knows? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. I can't take this any longer. I like to do something that's good. I don't want to have to worry about the picture and all of that. And look at it. It's still pretty frozen. Still pretty frozen. It's amazing.
So this is a time machine as well. You can go back 2 minutes.
Supposedly.
I thought you did a radio show. Why are you worrying about the video?
Well, because it basically most of the people listening to it are listening to it with video.
Yeah. Do you look at how many people download it from iTunes or no?
The audio usage is minimal. Okay, at this point compared to the video. In fact, I'll tell you right now, audio-wise, well, there are 17 people listening to the audio right now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I download, like I would be downloading the show tomorrow morning and listening at work. Yeah. Do you pay attention to how many people download your show from iTunes?
Yes and no. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to do here. I don't know whether I want to stop the stream and start it again, and that causes a problem. Okay, folks, if you're watching this and you're watching on what is this stream, I'm going to stop the stream and start it again. and see what we can. That I'm having to do this. There we go. It's starting up the stream, and is everybody is still. Oh boy, there's still a problem with the stream. It's just I don't have the power in this machine to do this right. I really don't. And
Live stream is giving you a hard time for dropping them.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, no, now we're smoother again. Okay, so we'll just keep talking here, I guess, with the people we got.
And your sync is not a latency issue. It's just.
I have no idea, Phil. Don't even ask me. I don't get any of this. All I know is I got a machine in Texas now. I mean, I thought this would be just a problem for a couple of days until I got the machine back, and it isn't a problem. And this little machine is trying the best it possibly can. Okay, but
it's the machine that could.
Yeah, but everybody's smooth now that we've got 6. So the most I can do is 6 at the present time, before I start having a problem. And if you're watching this, folks, I'm sorry. That you have to put up with this, and it's. We got a lot of our people back though. They stuck with it, so that's good. Anyway, let's talk about stuff. Okay. First of all, Phil, you for the longest time have defended Trump, and I find that your defense of him to be a bit disgusting, because you defend him no matter what. Eddie, I can't call you back. Or wait a minute, was he on?
He was on.
Oh, he was on.
He was one.
Okay,
I think he was one of the 6.
We'll add him here.
No, he was one of the 7.
He was in the second place though. He was in. There there he is.
My Skype just shut off.
Yeah.
Okay, I was a Trump defender, still am.
Yeah, but I mean, you defend him. I mean, come on, Phil. You're not a stupid guy, and this is a stupid man doing stupid things. I mean, Biden was right when he talks about the morality of our country, that he has just lowered the standard of this country in the eyes of the world and in our own eyes. I think this is a horrible country right now. And I don't think that we made America great again. We made America more obnoxious than it ever was. And how you can defend this behavior, I have no idea. Yes, Jason.
Well, he asked me a question, Jason. I was waiting for him to finish, so I didn't interrupt him.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead if you want.
No, Jason?
Well, I was just gonna. Now you kind of screwed me up, Phil, because now you make me sound like I'm a jerk for talking.
Hey, that's the way they make me look.
I was just gonna say, hey, Trump's been basically arguing that all these, immigrants are coming over, bringing diseases and shit to our country, but and maybe they should go back home. But isn't it your people that are causing some diseases going around in our country right now? Maybe we should export the Jews, right?
Well,
only in Rockland County.
Can I bring up something here?
Can I answer Alex's?
Yeah, go ahead. Answer my question.
I believe that your opinion is based on a slanted opinion, and that you're not listening to the media outlets that are giving you the full story. For instance,
no, they're all lying on some level. Okay, they're all lying on some level. There is no place I can go and get the unvarnished truth. What do you mean more than others? Come on, tell me. You're going to tell me.
You are getting snippets, and they
are. No, but that's exactly what you're doing, Phil.
No, I for instance, on the statement that they made when they pulled down the statue in South Carolina, it seems as though there was a whole bunch of stuff that Trump said before the statement, and a whole bunch of stuff that was after the statement that had made the statement that was given by Biden a out of context statement.
Wait a minute. Biden was only reacting to the tweets he wrote, and they were complete.
No, the tweets. How can a tweet be complete? It's 140 characters.
Well, then he shouldn't use that as a method of communication if he can't communicate in 140 words. It's 280
You should listen
now.
to other avenues that will give you the rest of the
I
story.
listen to all of them, Phil. I watch Fox. I look at Fox. Every day I watch Fox. I even go over to Newsmax.
I heard an interview that was done with
You didn't hear what I
Mark
said, Phil.
Levine.
Phil,
You said you go to Newsmax and you go to Fox, and I know you go to NRA.
Yes, I do. I have it on my Roku, as a matter of fact.
But I think you hear what you want to hear. You like this?
No, I don't
soundbite
hear
stuff.
what I want to hear. I hear what I hear, and my ears are saying this is bogus. Yes, Jason.
So, we were at war with Mexico too, and Santa Anna was pretty decent general for the Mexicans. Should we be building statues to him in America?
Sure, why not? We celebrate. What is it?
Because
Cinco de Mayo.
That's just a drinking holiday. Come on, Phil.
No,
be
well,
realistic.
we celebrate it
because it's a drinking holiday. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day for the same reason too. But he's saying General Lee is such a great general, which he was. He was he was wise and intelligent and everything. But should we be building statues and celebrating somebody who was an enemy of our country, who attacked our country? Oh, why not? Let's build statues to Hitler. Let's build statues to who was in Japan, the people who attacked us. Why don't we build statues for all these other people who attacked us?
You want to rewrite history. You want to pretend
it's not rewriting history, Phil.
You want to pretend
Lee
these
was
things
an
never
enemy
existed.
of our country. Lee was an enemy of our country, was he not?
No.
He was not an enemy of our country. Did he not attack us? Did he not kill hundreds of thousands of Americans?
I think the Fort Sumter thing. Was that the South that fired the round, or was it the North? The Josh, you might know that.
Well, the South fired on Fort Sumter, but I'm not prepared to classify Robert E. Lee as an enemy of our country. I mean,
and neither am I.
He was an enemy of our country. He declared war on our country. How could he not be anything less than an enemy?
If you'll shut up for fucking 5 seconds and let me talk, I might tell you, okay? Because I've spent a lifetime looking into this, and if he's an enemy of the country, that's perfectly fine. I wasn't prepared to attack your position. All I was to say was that I'm not prepared to label him that. He didn't declare war, okay? The Confederacy declared war, of which it was made up of many people. Secondly, he didn't come to that decision lightly. He didn't come to that decision easily. If you don't think that it was the right decision, that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to that. But I'm also not going to allow you to just make it sound like he was some kind of a dictatorial fucking warmonger who set out to massacre people en masse, because that's just not who he was, and that's just not what he was. There are people today who feel that Grant was a butcher because he sacrificed as many men as he needed to get the job done sometimes. I mean, okay.
Josh, who was the guy that burned his way?
It's a war.
Who's the guy that burned his way through Georgia? Sherman?
Sherman.
Yeah.
But so Lee made his decision on what side to choose to take, because he was from, because his home, but he made his own decision. So he became an enemy of the state when he made his decision to take their side.
Jason, there was a lot of divisiveness in those years as well, and the North was not totally innocent of trying to force the South into capitulating to what they wanted. So, correct, Jason?
But, there was
that the South was being forced by the North. There was a lot of divisiveness at that time, much more divisiveness than we have now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was a civil war. I mean, there are mistakes to be made all around. There is blame to go all around. I mean, look, if you think that at the time the Civil War was fought, everyone who lived in the North or in Union territory, for example, held a favorable opinion of blacks or slaves, wrong. I mean, there were people in Boston, the seat of liberty, if you will, who were more than happy to help Southern slave hunters capture fugitive slaves. I mean, there were people lynched in Boston in the 1860s. In Boston, I mean, this country was not ready to accept blacks at that time. But the issue was much deeper than that. I mean, I guess that's all I'm saying is I'm just not going to allow people to label men like you know.
I'm sure at the beginning of World
Jackson
War
or
II, there
Lee
was
as
Jews who
war
were on the Nazi side too, who were affluent.
No, you can't make that.
How can you not? I'm sure that
equivalency.
there was affluent Jews in World War II at the beginning, before all the shit started really happening, who were taking the sides of the Nazis. I'm sure there were. You know,
They were acquiescing to the Nazis. They thought that this would never happen, and that you know, they had no idea that this could occur. You know, I had a friend that's dad is a survivor, and I heard the interview that he did for what's his name, Spielberg, and you know, they sent people, and he says, you know, he was like 12 years old, and he was you know, just doing what they do in the town, selling fruit and just trying to survive. And you know, they had no idea. It wasn't like they had the internet and they could see what was going on. It was they were innocent of those things and unaware. And
same in America. There is people who looked at blacks as just being slaves, and that's what they were here
no,
for.
but the North,
they were the darky who was born to pick the cotton, right?
Don't be divisive.
What are you saying, Phil? We should be. Wait. Are you saying that we should be sympathetic to Germans during World War II because they didn't know better?
No, I was. It was a support for the Jews that were being rounded up because they didn't know. So, for instance, Jason said that the Jews were some were pro-Nazi at the beginning of the thing. It wasn't that they were pro-Nazi. They just didn't know. You know, there was no awareness of what was going on. It was, you know, hey, you know, this is the way they function. But you know, what I wanted to know is this 3/5 rule for the voting thing and blacks. You know, they consider them to be 3/5 of a citizen or a vote. Was that created by the North to keep the South from having more representation?
I don't know if I classify it as created by the North. It was born of a compromise in the convention to basically do the second part of what you were saying. I think you're correct, to ensure that the southern territories, the southern what would be states, yes, did not have voting power. You know, because there was an overwhelming amount of, you know, blacks making up population in the South, and if they were allowed to, all of them, it would have given them, you know, more representation. Yeah, sure. And you know, they were forced to make sure. I mean, Madison at the convention tried to convince everyone that the looming crisis that would come would not be large state, small state, and no one would believe him. But he said the looming crisis will be free state, slave state. It will be regional. It will not. It will be what's called sectional. In other words, what he meant was North and South. It will not be big state, small state. And he was prophetic. He was exactly right, because that's where our crisis did grow from. It did not grow from, you know, the state of Delaware arguing with the state of Georgia, or you know, Rhode Island arguing with Mississippi. It was North states, Southern states, free state, slave state. You know, so he was correct. But I mean, just on the original point, I mean, listen, I don't have a picture of or a statue of Robert E. Lee hanging, you know, in my house. So I don't fly the Confederate flag or anything. But I'm not gonna lie, I have some beautiful Civil War work. You know, I have a gorgeous hand-painted picture of General Lee and General Jackson on horseback trotting through the snow and checking some things out. You know, I mean, and I look at that picture and I don't, you know, I don't put myself in territory because I hung that picture up on my wall that, you know, hate Charlie now. I mean,
Let me
I don't look at it that
let me
way.
say something here, and that is that I don't think we can deny our history because we feel that that history, to bury that history is to bury a part of what we were, and maybe we don't want to be that again. But what we have to do is recognize that we were that at one time, and the fact that you like to collect that history. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There are people who like to collect Nazi memorabilia, and not because they're pro-Nazi, but because there's a history there. Yes, slavery was wrong. The whole idea of slavery was wrong. But at the time that it existed, nobody was standing up and saying this is wrong. I mean, our founding fathers didn't stand up and say this is wrong. They didn't write an amendment immediately banning slavery because, in fact,
I mean, a few of them did, but you're right. A few did,
but most of them
were more there than others.
Most of them owned slaves. Yes, Jason.
I say, but look at in Germany. They did ban the swastika. You can't display it in public or whatever. And if you want to go like just be like pure asshole-ish of how history normally pertains, to the victor goes the spoils. You don't build statues to the losers. You don't build because technically they are the enemy. They lost. We won. We should have the statues of our generals down there, but instead of their generals.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Jason. There were people whose sons were Southerners. They fought on the Confederate side. They died in that war. They felt that there should be memorials to honor those people who died, because they were their people. Is there something wrong with that?
So that's when they built them in the 40s.
Well, I mean, we build memorials in almost every city in the United States to the dead of World War I and the dead of World War II, and in the South, some of them did it to the dead of the war in the South. Well, wait a minute, hold on a second. I bet there are still statues and memorabilia to the Northern troops here. I'm sure you can go to certain cities, I don't know where, maybe in Pennsylvania or whatever, where there's a memorial to the war dead of the Civil War. Am I right or wrong about that, Josh?
Gettysburg.
Yeah, I mean, look, what I was going to say was I just got back a couple weeks ago from a trip, to Gettysburg, where I toured the battlefield over a couple of days. And that Gettysburg is really the shining example in that about 20 years after the battle, in the 1880s, some of the veterans of the battle began to return, including some Confederate veterans, and they began to put the monuments up at that time. Now, today at Gettysburg, there are, I don't remember how many monuments. There's a lot. I mean, there are a lot. I mean at least over 100. And it's about, I believe they told us during one of the tours, about 85 to 90% Union monuments. There are very few Confederate monuments, but there are some, including the monument from the state of Virginia, which is one of the largest monuments at Gettysburg.
How about the reenactors?
Yeah, and one of the reasons that it is Union monuments almost only is because, again, it was a Union victory, and basically, I mean, it was a close call, but Gettysburg is considered pretty much a Union victory. Union won the war, and they do get to set the narrative.
Is that a federal park?
I just don't think that you can deny that there are Confederate soldiers and generals who showed up at Gettysburg and laid their life on the line for what they believed in. Now, you don't believe in what they believed in. It's fine. Nothing, wrong with having that opinion. But there's no reason, that because I didn't agree with their opinion that I should tend to act as if they just didn't exist. Because the fact is they did exist. Men died for other men, at Gettysburg and Antietam and dozens of other places in that war and before and since. So I'm not a believer in
I just don't think we should be celebrating them as heroes. I can see you building a monument. Let's say, hey, you have Lee on one side and you have crap. Wow, I drew a
Well,
blank.
yeah, but let me ask.
Grant on the other side. You know, you put them face to face like they're going at each other or something. I could see that 100%, and I could see that in the South too. But in the South, you don't have monuments to the Northern generals.
I'm sure in the South you could find plaques and monuments in cities where they listed the dead from that city.
You go take a tour of some of these places in the South, and they sit there and talk about these Southern generals like they're such heroes, and the North was so, vulgar for coming down and invading their territory. Because I've been to Gettysburg before too, and then I also went down south and seen some of the stuff down there too, and it's just such a different story and atmosphere about how they talk about it.
I don't think necessary. And correct me on any of this, Josh, because you're the expert on this. You've made this kind of something you're interested in. But it was my feeling that Lincoln really stopped slavery, not because he hated the fact of slavery, but that he wanted to do economic sanctions against the South.
Right.
And that precipitated the war.
I would pretty much agree that I would not have classified Lincoln, like an ultra abolitionist or a radical, for sure. His reasons for, the Emancipation Proclamation, etc., were in many ways political and strategic, not just born out of genuine, belief in his heart that, blacks should be free. I do think he believed that, and he was not a racist, but I'm just saying he didn't make his decisions based upon the ultra-radical belief at the time, that blacks were equal. A lot was strategic and a lot of it was political. But just because he had strategic and political reasons doesn't mean, he didn't reach the right decision. The reasons that he reached it were varied, but, he did make the right decision. And, and even kind of circling back to the original conversation, number one, I don't celebrate those people as, heroes. Number two, Lincoln was a belief that we didn't need to have war trials and hangings, et cetera, for like Robert E. Lee and so on and other people. He didn't think that would do the country any good, and I don't think it would have done the country any good then. I don't think it would do the country any good now. And number three, I'm not saying that if I had been alive, I would have been a member of the Confederacy or I would have served in the Army of Northern Virginia. But I can tell you right now, especially from the long list of people that command in the Union Army from time to time, at the very top and somewhat beneath that, I would have been extraordinarily proud to serve under a commander like Robert E. Lee. Maybe not necessarily because I was fighting on his side for something I believed in. I just mean as a generic statement.
Well, here's the question, though. I have
he was the kind of person you want to serve under.
Josh, the question I have for you is, was that war fought over slavery, or was it just fought over? What was the primary premise of that war?
Well, I think that it.
In other words,
one reason or another reason solely.
Part of the
state rights.
Well, part of the reason was that the South wanted to secede from the Union. What was their reason for wanting to secede from the Union?
Well, in order to maintain their autonomy in terms of the issue of slavery, because their economic situation depended solely upon being able to keep that labor system in place, And I think the war was fought for slavery, but also for union. And I think it evolved. I think most historians agree that it evolved over time, especially for members of the Union Army, who in the beginning, started out not necessarily with the slavery question in their minds, but more so for the question of union and for many of them for personal adventure. But I think later, after several battles, major battles, a couple years of campaigning, we now know, and we have evidence of this. We have letters, we have diaries, newspaper articles, testimony from veterans, et cetera, that clearly points to the fact that as the war went on, and they learned more about what life was like for slaves and in the South, et cetera, that freeing other men became an issue that was forefront in their mind. I mean, as the song says, as he died to men make holy, let us die to make men free, or whatever. I mean, you know, there were Union soldiers, a great deal of them, who came to that determination that what they were doing had never been done before and might likely never be done again, which was free men voluntarily fighting free an enslaved people.
Phil has his hand up.
Yeah, there are other great generals
Wait a minute,
that.
hold on a second. I got some slap back there. Go ahead.
There were other great generals that you might look at and say, hey, they were Nazis, so therefore they don't count. But you look at a guy like Rommel, who was a brilliant tactician and a brilliant general. Do you not learn from these men so that you could have peace in the future? And do you not learn from their tactics? Do you just ignore them because they served under Hitler? Rommel was a brilliant general.
Well, Rommel
You're
turned out
an idiot if you don't take note of somebody who is smart, is strategically smart. Even who's that one, Dr. Mengele or whatever his name is. They were stupid. But he did have some medical breakthroughs, and you're stupid to throw the shit out that he did.
No, he did.
What
medical breakthroughs did he have?
Well, he experimented on Jews in concentration camps.
Not only them, he experimented on cows and stuff like that too. But there was just different things that he did to understand how the body works and stuff that they threw his research out. Which even though it was horrible what he did.
That was inhumanity to man, and you know what? The gains that they made from that kind of research is dirty.
I don't think they're. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
If you can learn something from a war and strategy and how to pursue something and do something,
I disagree with you, Josh, because in the case of Mengele, he didn't accomplish anything. Jason, excuse me. He didn't gain any information on anything. He was a nutcase who decided that there was something about twins that he had to experiment on. And he did terrible things to these twins in order to do this. But that was, name me one thing that he found out, one medical
Maybe I'm
advance.
mistaken, but I thought that there was things that he did, where it's disgusting, where he put windows in people's stomachs in order to see how the digestive system worked, and different things like that, how organs reacted with each other.
He did not come up with anything. He was not the.
He was a butcher.
He was a butcher. I mean, if you want to say that, the whole thing with the South is. There's a large question about why we went to that war. I was always taught in school, I read somewhere in some book that there was this story about how Abraham Lincoln was in New Orleans and went to a slave market and was so appalled by slavery that he said, if I ever become president of the United States, I will abolish slavery. That story is bullshit. Pure and utter bullshit. He wrote the Emancipation Proclamation in order to fuck over the South. That's what he did. Plain and simple.
See, that other story came from MSNBC.
And that precipitated a war. Yes. I think I know why my picture is bad tonight. I changed the way I'm capturing it. And I may have to go back to the old way, because last night this show was perfect. Just perfect. Yeah.
Jeff has his hand up.
Yes, Jeff.
You're muted.
You're muted, Jeff.
Bingo. I'm sorry. As far as people doing research as doctors and people who develop heart projects or any kind of surgery projects, they often start with animals. because they're good animals. They're good models, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like a pig is the heart.
Mice.
In a pig, well, a mice is not a great surgical model.
No, but they use them to,
Yeah, they use them for certain things. But the one thing is compared to the human doing these things, most people would use animals as preliminary studies, and regardless of who they were, whether they were Nazis or not, people would try to use pigs and things like that because the pig's heart is pretty much close to the same as ours. So
they even use their valves.
Yeah, sure, and cows too. Also, matter of fact, they have both.
Yeah.
So, I think sometimes people get emotionally overloaded as to what the science is, but when you take a guy like Mendele, he went beyond the normal approach. Right.
If you read Man's Search for Meaning by Victor, I forget his last name, but he invented something called logarithmia, which is his ability to overcome pain through thought because of the way the Nazis experimented on him. It's Viktor Frankl. So if you read, I don't know if you've read that. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. It's a very good book to kind of give you an idea of what some of these people were put through in the concentration camp.
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, the one Nazi who I admire the most of all people is Werner von Braun.
And he started the V2 system and the rockets.
Yeah, he was a rocket scientist, and he was fantastic in Germany.
And
then at the end of World War II, he came to the United States.
Yeah.
And actually, my cousin, who's an engineer, worked with him. So, and
but here was the problem. Here was the problem with Werner von Braun, and it's a problem with a lot of scientists. Scientists don't have humanistic values necessarily. All they care about is the science. And at Piedemunde, they employed a lot of Jews as slaves there to build the rocket launchings and that whole area of Piedemunde. And so he was somewhat complicit in the use of the Jews. He perhaps saved some Jews only because they were put into service to build stuff for him. And so they weren't put on the chopping block by being sent off to a concentration camp. But I don't think that his desire was to necessarily, he didn't have any concept of, hey, Jews are being killed and exploited and whatever.
I agree with
you. Could it have been timing? You look at Einstein, who left Germany 10 years before.
We put up with Werner von Braun after the war because he was a good rocket scientist and we needed him, okay? Yeah. And because what happened was the Russians were very bright. What they did at the end of the war is they went to Piedemunde, and they grabbed as many rocket scientists as they possibly could and took them back to Russia. And we got Werner von Braun, who may not have been the best one, and that's why they beat us in rocketry. I mean, as I watched this documentary on cosmonauts,
you're correct.
They showed like the Russian rockets. They, from the very beginning, had more power than anything we had.
Yes. My cousin, who worked with Werner von Braun, is actually going to come in. He lives in California, but he's actually coming to New York this weekend. I'm going to ask him all about that.
Yeah, I mean, von Braun was very good. Von Braun was one of the heads of the program, but the large amount of the best rocket scientists that were available, Russia got. Okay. In the liberation of Piedemunde.
I think you're correct on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Piedemunde, in case people don't know, was the rocket facility where they were building all these rockets. They weren't building, by the way, they weren't building them to send men to the moon. They weren't building them to send men into space. They were sending them to land in London and blow people up. Yeah. So don't think that Werner von Braun was a great guy, but he was so into building the rockets. it's kind of like there was an old song by Tom Lehrer, and the lyric goes something like, I don't care. I only care that they go up. I don't care where they come down," says Werner von Braun.
I never heard that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got
for
that.
sharing that.
They all go up, but I don't care where they come down, says Werner von Braun. And that's really the mind of a scientist. I mean, they didn't care where they came down. They just cared that they could go up and they could get a rocket to,
I guess in every business, they've got a saying. A friend of mine's in the car business, and he says, "There's an ass for every seat and a seat for every ass."
Yeah. And you're the ass who sits in one. Anyway.
Hey, I got new seats.
Yeah, you have new seats, do you?
Yeah.
I think I maybe figured out what the problem is tonight. I'm using a different thing to record the show with, a different algorithm. And I should go back to the old one, because the one I was using last night, I had no problem with anything happening online. So,
Yeah, last night was like.
I
perfect.
just once I'm going to try again on Tuesday. I'm going to try again.
Can't
on
help
Tuesday.
but fuck with it.
If I've got a problem Tuesday, I'm just going to sign the show off, and I'm not going to go back on until I get my old machine back. Okay? That's it. But I think maybe I can, for people who are watching this, you're probably watching at times a very stuttering video presentation, but I'm going to put it up anyway. Okay, so that you can.
Are you mimicking that stuttering guy that the other disc jockey in New York uses? What's his name? Howard Stern.
Yeah,
he's got a stuttering guy.
Yeah. Yes, Jason.
I'm surprised Phil didn't make the joke. That's where your problem is you're using an Al Gore rhythm instead of a Donald Trump rhythm.
I see. An Al Gore rhythm, exactly.
No, but the divisiveness of today is nothing compared to what they had in 1862 and 3, and think.
Oh, I think we are divisive.
Hopefully, things have changed in the last 100 years.
Well, I think our divisiveness is just as bad. I think it's different, and it manifests itself in a different way, but it's just as bad. I think right now we are as divided a nation as we can possibly be. And I am blaming that right at the feet of Donald Trump, listen to me, Phil. The fact is, the president sets the tone of the nation and the tone of the discussion. And people look to the president for guidance as to what is proper and what is right to do and wrong to do. And he has been a bad example to this country. He has set up a very. We didn't have this under Obama. Obama didn't cause a divisiveness.
No, he
like
did all
this.
his crap in secret.
Oh, come on. Bullshit, Phil. What did he do in secret?
The man was the worst president that ever touched this nation. He was worse than Jimmy Carter.
Not even close.
Don't forget what he brought us back from. He brought us back from the brink of a depression.
Yeah.
Phil, you can't. Okay,
Bush had.
Yeah, name one bad. Name some bad things Obama did.
He gave $150 billion to the Iranians.
No,
you say it's their money, but they are terrorists.
That has nothing to do with the running of this country. They got $150 billion of their money. It was their money.
Yes, but what do they do with it?
It was their money.
They sent it to the Gaza to lop bombs.
It was their money, Phil.
Are the main
Phil, it was their money. It was in our banks, and we weren't letting them have it.
War V2s to hit London because it was their V2s, and we took them away.
Phil,
come on.
You are a fucking moron.
No. The moron here right now is you. Not recognizing how bad Obama was. You just love his ears, you love his voice, you love his presentation, but his substance is...
I liked his dignity, Phil. Something Trump doesn't have. Trump hasn't one scintilla of...
He's got so much dignity as he gives the money to allow these people to foster the kind of hate...
He was ordered by the World Court to pay them their money back.
Oh, fuck the World Court.
Well, that's very easy to say, Phil, but if he was ordered by the World Court to pay them,
leader...
Let me finish, Phil. If he was told to pay the money back by the World Court, then he had to do it. Don't say fuck the World Court. That's not an answer. That's not an answer. That's not an answer, Phil. That's not an answer. That's not an
It was all
answer.
part of his nuclear deal. You want to try and talk over me? You know,
I can shut you up. All I have to do is I just hit your thing here, and I go.
Hey, Phil, you know that his own intelligence people are telling him that Iran is actually abiding by their nuclear agreements and that we're actually kind of in the wrong to be trying to get out of the treaty. Trump's own people are saying that.
To begin with, because what that's going to do is in 10 years, it would have given them the ability to have a nuclear bomb.
So now they
a nuclear bomb, Phil. A nuclear bomb.
Not as long as we have a good leader that's going to make sure they don't.
Trump's own intelligent people are saying it was a good deal, but Trump is not, and you're agreeing with Trump instead of the intelligence industry.
It was the people that Christie and a number of other people said, hey, these are good guys. You can bring them into the administration. Now he's got his own people, Pompeo and so forth, and they're not saying it's a good deal. Just the Obama and Hillary holdovers are the ones that are saying it's a good deal because they didn't want their shit to be exposed. Hillary, they're going to lock her up. I really hope that they do an investigation and they lock up some of these people.
They've done an investigation.
Let me bring it. Can I bring up something?
They haven't found a single thing.
Can I bring up something? Number one, they're never going to go after Hillary because nothing happened in Benghazi that the ambassador didn't. Wait a minute. That the ambassador didn't cause because he was told not to go there. All right. Okay.
30,000 emails.
Okay, so 30,000
You're
emails.
okay. What to pick up eggs?
$2.5 million
Yes. And the same is true. How about Ivanka's emails and how about Jared's emails?
Oh, it's another what about? Okay. You want a what about?
Okay, let me bring something up that's kind of interesting. We have a measles epidemic in this country right now. Measles is not as. Can I finish? Do you have to always jump in? Yeah. Measles is a far more insidious disease than it was when I was a kid because we didn't think much of it. But the fact is, kids get measles, and for 3 years afterwards, it can have some dire effects from measles. It is a very dangerous disease. And last night I was saying that somebody should go out and arrest Jenny McCarthy because this cunt went around telling women don't vax because it causes, autism, the measles vaccine. Do you know who else said that? Donald J. Trump. He tweeted it.
I didn't hear a word
He
of that.
tweeted it. I saw the tweets today.
I don't have my phone in front of me.
Well, go look it
Vice
up.
News covered it tonight.
Go look it up.
Who News?
Vice News.
Vice News. Okay. Vice News.
Well, forget Vice News. I saw it tonight on the NBC Evening News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know why he would have done that.
Because he's a moron, Phil. Because he's an idiot. Because he tries to act like he knows everything when he knows nothing.
Well, he does know everything.
Don't know why he was pro-abortion before he was anti-abortion.
Why
he was anti-gun before he was pro-gun.
As far as this vaccination stuff goes, people have their own reasons for doing and not doing. And in America, you are allowed to do that. And if
no, you're not. If the public health is at risk, no, you're not allowed to.
Well, no. If the public health is at risk, you can say you can't send your kid to school. You can't.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Well, then that's fine. If you don't want to get vaccinated, then
but I mean, I think Jenny McCarthy should be held to account for kids who are dying from measles, and so should Donald Trump because of his tweets.
Well, I think you're probably taking it as much out of context.
No, I saw these tweets.
Took the South Carolina thing.
I saw these tweets. Let me see if I can find them.
I've got one.
Eddie has his hand up.
You've got one?
Yeah, March 28, 2014, Trump tweeted, healthy young child goes to doctor, gets pumped with massive shots of many vaccines, doesn't feel good and changes. Capital letters, autism, many such cases.
This is what they were telling everybody in 2014. This is 2019, and things change.
They've been telling people this for the longest time, that measles is bad.
Trump had warned us that they were coming over the border and they were bringing disease.
And they're not.
You know?
Yes, Jason.
So I actually, I did experience it too, and I was not an anti-vaxxer believer, but I did understand and realize when these kids go and get a crap load of vaccines at one time, they end up running really high fevers. And really high fevers can cause autism. And I was thinking maybe that could be an issue. So that's where I spread out my kids' vaccines a little bit further apart. And then I also made sure I gave him some type of medicine or whatever, like an aspirin, so it'd help with a fever reduction before he got his shot. So then he didn't have a fever afterwards. And I really think maybe they should look into that and suggest that maybe you give your kid some type of not acetaminophen, but ibuprofen or something that would help break a fever.
Jason, I'm not sure about this. Maybe you can correct me, but I thought that if you give a kid aspirin while they were having a fever, that could create some other issue. I don't think it was.
I don't know. Let's ask Dr. Trump or Dr. Jenny McCarthy.
Well, no, ask Dr. Jeff. He'd probably know. Is there some issue?
Jeff. Believe me, if it was my kid, I would talk to my doctor very quickly.
The people I was getting because actually we went to the health department or whatever to get our vaccines, and man, they were giving us such a hard time about it. And like, look, our kid's going to have all of his vaccines by the time, he's going to be on schedule. We're just not giving him 6 vaccines right now. We only want to do 3 right now. We're going to come back in a couple of weeks and do another 3. We don't want to do 6 at one time. But like I said, we made sure because I knew it was going to give him a fever. Why, he doesn't need to have a fever.
Jason, a lot of people don't know how to think outside the box.
Right.
If you don't want to follow by their protocol, they think you're crazy, which you might be.
Hey, they got you in the room. They want to shoot you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
just trying to help your kid.
I guess what I resent, Phil, is that you try to fight any argument with, well, it's fake news and it's a lie, or that I'm so stupid, Phil, that I'm listening to all these people who are telling me what to think. And the fact of the matter is, Phil, I have never been that way. I have always looked at all the media, and then I've looked at the story itself and tried to suss it out on my own. And I have never been influenced by any media.
And in the past, that's true. And one of the reasons I like you. But on the other hand, I think in this case,
because I'm not saying what you want to hear, Phil. I hardly watch the fucking media. Okay,
maybe that's another reason. So what you do here?
I just listen to the words of this mumbling fucking moron who can't even speak the English language properly. And I'm sorry, I like smart people. All right, and this person is not smart. He is a dumb piece of
today,
shit.
It came out that we had a 3.2% GDP growth in this last quarter, which was a lot higher than they thought it was going to be. The economy is doing the best that it's done almost ever.
And how does Trump
doing what he said he would
wait a minute?
do?
How did Trump bring that about? Will you tell me, or maybe did
by
it just
reducing onerous regulations, and also our trade with China is about ready to burst. Xi said today, and they're dialing this back a little bit, but he said that they're going to open up their country to bringing in more U.S. goods. If China starts buying our U.S. goods, our economy is going to sail. And
guess what, Phil? Dream again.
Well,
they can buy them from India. They can buy them from any number of places. Do you
India
think
will buy ours too?
You think they're going to buy them from somebody who's waging a trade war with them?
Because we're negotiating with them right now. Plus, plus we have to make sure that they don't steal our intellectual property, and we have to
You can't prevent
trade
that,
on
Phil.
an equal basis.
And you don't think we steal intellectual property?
Not like the Chinese do.
Well, I beg to differ with you. We steal it too.
No. They've been stealing billions and billions wantonly. When
Where do you get this? Where do you get this figure of billions and billions?
Get it from
How many billions exactly, Phil?
It's reported.
No, you're just spouting it out of your mouth.
No, hey, that's another thing.
You're just
so that's,
making
that's
it
your
up.
defense.
It's fake
It's
Phil
because it
news.
came out of my mouth.
It's Phil fake
it's not
news.
true. Yeah. Just because it came out of my mouth, it's not true. But if anybody is spouting out fake news right now, when you talk about Donald Trump, it's you.
Really?
With these trade issues, you can't just go off on your own. You should have went with your other allies and go after China altogether. So then you can make it an even, fair playing field instead of just saying these are our rules, abide by them, and then you kind of just screw yourself and you add tariffs to everything, and then make the American people pay more for everyday products.
You mean the way it's been done for the last 30 years? The way they have been laughing at us and making their currency, floating their currency, so that they make it so cheap so that we buy their stuff and they don't buy ours. Hey, why repeat things over and over?
I agree with you on that, Phil.
I get.
You don't just go off on your own.
Guess Phil gets.
You get with your allies.
But nobody else was doing it.
Phil gets bothered by somebody who, for instance, has another rug store down the street and sells stuff cheaper.
No, I welcome the guy.
Well,
down the
I
street.
mean, come on, that's what trade is all about, and the fact that China.
People are going to buy from me because
the fact is that China became better at capitalism than we did, and capitalism is dirty.
No,
okay?
They became better at it because it was unfettered capitalism, and unfair. And they're stealing.
Unfair capitalism? How's it unfair?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't.
Well, look what they're doing to the environment. Look what they're doing to the environment. Look what they do to our copyrights.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
and our patents.
That's our theme song going off, and I want to thank everybody who are all in sync except for me now. But I'll be back in sync in a moment, folks, when I get rid of them. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Eddie. Good having you on, Eddie, 3 nights in a row. I hope you can make it when we actually have a system that works here. I think on Tuesday I maybe can get things a little more in sync, folks. I think it was because I tried a new system tonight. Anyway, you don't need to know how the hamburger is made. Phil, thank you. Thank you, Josh. We really appreciate some of your historical lectures. And, of course, we always love talking to our old friend, Jason. Okay? What I would like to have you all do is give a big wave goodbye to the people out there so that they can, so I can wave back too. All right? There we go. And let me see here. I have to do it this way. Okay, there we go. And now I see I'm out of sync, folks. Now watch what happens when I hang up on them. All of a sudden, I will go into sync. Right? Now I'm in sync. Oh man, I want to kill myself. Anyway, for those of you who've been watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. It was a good discussion. I'm going to put it up anyway, even though we're probably going to have picture problems. And we'll see you again. Let's see here. It's next Tuesday, hopefully, unless I decide not to. Tuesday, right after the the exchange with Damian Chaplin at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And in the meantime, if you see her, as always, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week.